Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Do you like my little 5-minute countdown video that I had in there? It's an open source video. It's on Vimeo, and anyone can download it and use it. And I always have this thing with like live streaming events where it's like, you know, if people get there a minute or two early, it would be kind of nice to have something to say, yep, you're in the right place, just stick around, something's going to start any second. But then also the people who don't arrive early, you don't want them to turn up and think, oh, I've missed all the good stuff. Not that me watching solving Advent of Code in C# is necessarily everybody's idea of good stuff. But I quite enjoy it, and there's at least a couple of people who have come back every day this week. So, the countdown clock on BBC Schools. I'm going to get that, and for next time, I'm going to have the BBC Schools countdown clock at the start of my Twitch streams, because I pay my BBC television license, so technically I own the BBC, and therefore that is my video, and I'm allowed to use it for anything I want. That's how IP law works, is that right? Anyway, yes, hello, welcome to day 1, 2, 3, 4 of Advent of Code 2020. We've been having lots of fun doing stuff in C# and optimizing, and yesterday we looked at file streaming APIs, and the day before that we wrote a Toto Africa-style solution about a rhinoceros in Rockstar. And we're going to do today. And as normal, we're going to do it in C# and .NET, and we're going to try and do it nice, and going to do it in a way that makes sense to me and try and explain what it is we're doing as we go along. So let's have a look at day 4. I am streaming this live to MS Teams, but unless you are simultaneously... ooh, this is interesting. There's a thing here. There we go. Hold on, I just realized you can't see the chat, because I haven't opened the magical thing. There we go. Look at that. Boom. This whole internet business is really very, very clever, isn't it? And look, I can almost wave my hands in front of that. Yeah, some of you who follow me on Twitter will have noticed that I've been having opinions today about Microsoft Teams. It is the whole, you know, someone says, will you speak at our conference? And you're like, yeah, absolutely, fine, I can do that. I'd love to. And then they're like, it's on Teams. And you're like, I'm going to look really uncharitable if I pull out now because I don't like the software. Gosh, it takes a lot of time. Hey Martin, how you doing? Welcome. Yes, I spent an hour today trying to get a screen share to work on Teams, and the first 45 minutes I couldn't even log in, and eventually, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm hoping that they're just going to change their minds so we can do it on Zoom. Anyway, let's do some Advent of Code. No, we are not live streaming on Teams. We're on Twitch and YouTube. And I'm thinking from next week I'm just going to do Twitch. Because it's easier with the chat and stuff. The latency kind of works better. So if you're on YouTube and you want me to stay on YouTube and you don't want me to do this on Twitch, just stick a message in chat going YouTube please, and I'll do it. But if everyone's happy to move across to Twitch, then we'll move to Twitch because it has better latency, and also it's purple, and I like purple things, except Teams, which is purple. Let's have a look at Advent of Code. Day 4, passport processing. You arrive at the airport only to realize that you grabbed your North Pole credentials instead of your passport. While these documents are extremely similar, North Pole credentials aren't issued by a country and therefore aren't valid documentation for travel in most of the world, just like a blue British Brexit passport. It seems you're not the only one having problems, though. A very long line has formed for the automatic passport scanners. No, Chris, that's not the reason. And the delay could upset my travel itinerary. Due to some questionable network security, you realize you might be able to solve both of these problems at the same time. The automatic passport scanners are slow because they're having trouble detecting which passports have all required fields. A bunch of fields. Passport data is validated in batch files. Right, so our input is a sequence of key colon-value pairs separated by spaces or new lines. Passports are separated by blank lines. Alright, so that's one pass. Yeah, okay, so I see. That's a passport that's a delimiter there. That end of line there is a field delimiter, and then this thing here is a record delimiter, and they are key-value pairs. First passport is valid because all 8 fields are present. Second passport is invalid, it is missing height. The third passport is only missing country ID, so it looks like data from North Pole credentials. Surely nobody would mind if you made the system temporarily ignore missing CID fields. Treat this passport as valid. So the fourth passport is missing 2 fields, missing CID is found, missing anything, so this passport is invalid. Okay, so my understanding of the requirements is that we need to read all the passports in the batch, and the CID field is optional, but if they are missing any other fields other than CID, that passport is not valid. So, hello Refrigerator Light, welcome, nice to see you. So, a number of valid passports. Okay, so as we have learned from previous days, quite a good way to start this off is, quite a good way to start it off is to go new project. And console app, .NET Core, that will do nicely. We've been using that so far. And we are going to call this day 4 code, and it is going to sit in day 4, and solution name is just day 4, and create that. And there we go. This should give us a little .NET console app that does a whole hello world thing. Cinciat, hello, welcome, nice to see you. Okay, so hello world. Let me just hit the big run button. There we go. Hello world, that's all fine. Okay, good. So we've got a basic solution up and running. Now, as we've done in previous day, or as has been suggested in previous days, it's a good idea to start with this. So I'm going to grab that lot there. I am going to copy that. I'm going to bring that over here. I'm going to go into day 4 code. I'm going to right click, add new item, which is going to be a text file. Does Visual Studio support text files? Yes, it does. And I'm going to call this example.txt. I'm going to paste that into it. Interestingly, there is actually no new line on the end of that input, so I'm going to assume that that input's valid. That may be something we need to think about. Example.txt properties, copy to output directory. Y'all can't see this, can you? Because it's on the wrong side of the screen. Let me sling that over there, and sling that over there, and that over there. There we go. Copy to output, copy always. Okay, so our example file is now going to... there we go. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. What I'm trying to do here, for those who can't work out what I'm doing waving these windows around, is to get it so that the Solution Explorer and properties are on the same thing. So we don't need the Team Explorer, don't need the class view, we don't need live share, we want properties and we want Solution Explorer. I want that in the bottom half of that, and I'd like that whole window to collapse when I'm not using it. But maybe that's just too much to hope for. Alright, we'll figure it out, I'm sure. There we go. Alright, so example.txt, we're going to copy that across. So what do we need to do? We need to break that input into passports. So each passport field is separated by a blank line. And then each passport contains a bunch of key value pairs, and we need to know which ones are present and which ones are missing. So what I'm going to do first of all is program.cs. Let's spin up a class parser, and we are going to read in the input file and give back a list of passports. Start with just a single line. Why would I start with just a single line? Okay. One line, one passport? Nah. Because that's not how it works. Okay, so David's suggesting that I do one line, one passport, but actually one line's not one passport, because one line can be split, because a passport can have new lines in it, and then a blank line separates them. So that one line there, that's not a passport. We need both of those lines to be a passport. Yeah. So to get the first passport, we need to read 2 lines from the input file. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna read that input into one big string, and then I'm gonna split it on a double new line, which is a blank line. So new line means the line in the middle ends up being blank. Yeah. Okay, cool. So parser. So we are gonna take the string, and we are gonna read that into public static. No fields first. I'm just going to check I'm parsing the correct number of things. Public static list of passport, because it is going to give us a sort of defined length. This isn't like an enumeration or a projection that can go on forever. Parse string input. So, and we're going to say input.split on, now split in .NET is one of those slightly weird things that if you're splitting on a single character, it makes it really easy, but if you want to split on a string, you need to be a little bit more, so actually this will be environment dot newline plus environment dot newline. It's a little bit clunky. /n twice in a row might have been better. Also, this implies that the person who wrote the input was using the same kind of computer as the person who's parsing the output. Does it specify in here? It says new lines. It doesn't say character returns. So maybe that's a... I'm going to go with a hard-coded N. Environment.newline on Windows is character return newline. If the person who made the text file was on Linux, not going to work. That's not going to be a thing. So input.split on that is going to give me a collection of things. .select P goes to new passport. Okay, .toList. So first thing that I am going to check is that if I var input equals file.readAllText from example.txt, var passports equals parser.parse. I had a professor at university who pronounced parse as parse with a Z, and someone said to him one day, "So why do you always say parse?" And he said, "Because parse is what you're not going to do if you don't pay attention," which I thought was quite neat. Trim will deal with /r, so if you split on / and then trim each part, you'll deal with both line ending types. Yeah, but the problem with that, Chris, is I can't trim until after I've split, and if I trim after I split on the wrong thing. I mean, we could use a regular expression, but maybe that's out of scope for day 4 of Advent of Code. So parser.parse input, and I am just gonna do a console.writeLine passports.count, which I'm expecting to be the number 4. Were there 4 in the inputs? Example.txt had 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So if this prints 4, we know we're splitting on the right stuff. I will probably use a regex later today. That's like one of those fortune cookies that make you wish you hadn't had the fortune cookie. There were build errors. Not all paths return a value. Return, yes, thank you very much. Boom, run, go. I just want to do a thing. Is there a way in Visual Studio I can say, every time this window opens, I'd like it to be in this place, please? Yeah, okay, no, maybe not. Never mind. 1 is the wrong answer. Why is that not working correctly? So input.split on that. Boom. Let's break this down into lines. So var tokens equals input.split on... Is it because the @ there means those are not getting interpreted as new lines? I'm going to run that, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to attach a debugger to it and see what happens. Nope, I'm still getting 1 on the output. Okay. So let's break this down. Var lines, or var inputs equals input.split on that. Boom, let's have a look at that, and then inputs.select, debugger on there, run that. Inputs equals input.split. So input is that. That looks fine. Text visualizer. Okay, we are reading the right thing. Next line of the input. Inputs string 1. Why? /r /n. /r /n. Because I am okay. They said in the 1960s that they were going to solve this problem, you know. Four. Boom. It's over there. You can't see it, but I can. Okay. So we are now splitting on the right thing. So that is giving us the passports back. Yeah, I copied and pasted it, so when I saved it in .NET with a... Actually, Chris is right. Let's do a input.replace. If we get rid of all the carriage returns, because we are not using a mechanical teletypewriter, so we do not need the carriage to return at the start of each expression, and then we split that on /n/n. That will probably give us, boom, there we go. Oop, hang on. Debugger still attached. That's 4. Okay, yeah, that's a slightly more elegant way of doing it. Okay, so now we've got a thing. So we need to new passport. P goes to new passport. P. So public class passport. Public pass. So I'm going to stick a constructor on this class, which takes a string of tokens. Ding. Yeah, although actually \r control G is the ASCII bell character. And it was the same bell that rang on the carriage return could also be actuated by a servo when you sent a control G to an ASCII teletypewriter. I have a talk about this I'm giving at DDD the Saturday after next. There's literally a 1-hour talk about plain text, and it includes all kinds of weird stuff about the design of ASCII, which is kind of one of those things you don't think anyone designed it, just like ASCII was always there. But nope, people actually designed it. ASCII is full of stuff that's actually surprisingly clever, like doing case-insensitive string collations. Right, passport, string tokens. So what does one of these passports look like? We've got a bunch of things and other things. So I'm actually going to call that string input. var tokens equals input.split. Now, at this point, we want to split on either a space or a carriage return. So we can, in theory, do that on. So that's a space. Can we do that? Is that a valid char in the .NET? Cannot resolve index. That might do it for us. It might. Tokens equals that, and then we want to dictionary, I think. So .NET, the system.collections.generic contains a dictionary type. I'm going to have a look at that input. So these are, I'm guessing at some point it's going to want us to do something a little cleverer, but at the moment we can, I think, treat all the data types as strings because all we're doing is checking for the presence of a particular field. So that's going to give us tokens equals input.split on that, and then we want to do a toDictionary on a pair, and each of those pairs is going to, come on, give me a, no, that should be fine. And toDictionary wants a key method and a value method, so this will be, I don't want to do the split twice, because we could pass the string in and say split that, take the first part, but then to get the values, we pass the same string in again, and we say split again, and we take the second part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say inputs.split on that, and then select for each of those pair goes to, so select string, select, what is that at that point? It's a pair, but it's not a pair, it's a field. Select field goes to field.split, and then field.split is going to split on colon. So then we can do .toDictionary, and at this point each one of them is going to get a 2-element array of strings. So our key selector will be pair 0, our value selector will be pair 1, and passport that. So this .fields. So let's do public, where are we? No, that's the class definition. Public dictionary of string and string fields get and set equals new dictionary of string and string, otherwise things might blow up. Tokens equals that, but we don't need it to be tokens. We can just say this dot fields equals, that's our constructor logic. So we give it a chunk of text, which is going to be a bunch of, so basically it's going to get that, or it's going to get that, or it's going to get that. And we are going to grab that. We're going to say, okay, break it down into pieces on either a string or a new line. We've already split out all the carriage returns because we did that in the first stage, so the input is now clean. So that's going to give us each of these tokens, break that on a colon, give us a first and a second in a pair, then pass those out. All right, that looks pretty good. So that should give us a thing, and then let's just do a quick bit of naughty debugging. For each var p in passports, console.writeLine p.fields.keys. Select k goes to k dot. Actually, k, those are just strings, aren't they? To array, and we can. Oops, come back a second. String.join that. p.fields.keys.toArray. All right. Console.writeLine string. This is a little fun .NET thing I like. String.empty.pad right. How right do we want it? 72 characters. Let's pad it with one of those. That'll give us a nice horizontal line between each passport. Run that. Boom. What do we got? Okay, so it's pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that looks pretty good. We've got a set of keys. Now, there's always a thing in software where you're like, how flexible do I want to... Yeah, there's pad left, there's a pad left, and there's a pad right as well, which is kind of cool. So there's always a thing in software where you're like, how much flexibility? There's the kind of Perl ethos of you aren't going to need it, which says you build the simplest possible thing that solves the problem you have in front of you. And then there's the kind of enterprise architect-y thing of we need configurable, pluggable, modulable solutions. Now, what I think I'm going to do is, what was the exact requirement? We need a passport to contain exactly, let's go back and have a look at the web page here. So we had day 4, advent of code. The valid with all 8 fields. The second passport's invalid. Now, it doesn't say anything about what if there's fields in here that we're not expecting, so it looks like we need all 7 of the other fields to be present for a passport to be valid. So, I think a nice way, or I think the right amount of flexibility for this, because I haven't seen what's in part 2 yet, I am going to say in here, static string required or required fields equals, and I am just gonna come over here, and we said that CID was optional, didn't we? So what's the, we want that lot. Yep, boom, get rid of that. Boom, there's that. And there. And we decided CID was optional, didn't we? That was the brief. So that one can come out. There is our set of required fields. And then I'm going to put a method on here, which is public void contains all fields. Fields. String fields. Now, we can do something kind of fun here, because I think we can do a return. Sorry, not void, bool. Yeah. Return. So fields dot intersect. So we've got a set of strings, which is the keys of the fields inside our passport, and we've got another set of fields, which is the ones we passed in. So yeah, bool contains, that's fine, that's that, right, that. So this dot fields dot keys. Produces the set intersection. What is the set intersection here? It's an IEnumerable.toList.count. Only arrays have a length, don't they? So what we're basically doing is we're taking these two lists and we're intersecting them and saying only give us the things that appear in both lists. And if the length of that is the same as the length of inputs, it means we found them all. If the length of that is different, it means there was something in our requirements that we didn't find. So that should give us contains all fields. We might be able to clean that up a little bit later, but let's see if it works. So for var p in passports, so we can now say var number of valid passports equals passports dot where p goes to p dot contains all fields. What did we call that? Required fields. So valid passports equals passport where that dot count. I think. Okay, so test input, it says there are 2 valid passports in that test input. Let's have a look at our code. Here, first passport is valid, second one is valid. So first one's valid, second is invalid, third is valid, fourth is invalid. So there are 2 valid ones. Okay, so our thing works on our test input. Let's get my input for day 2. Boom, there we go. I'm going to right-click that and save as. Where are we? We are in GitHub, Advent of Code 2020, day 4. Day 4 code, input.text. There we go. Visual Studio, input, properties, copy always. And input.text. Run it. You ready? That's interesting. That's very interesting. I've got a crash. What's it crashing on? Index was out of the bounds of the array. What is the pair there? The pair is an empty string. What does the field look like there? We don't know because we've already... This is the problem with one-liners, is where they go wrong. Superfluous line at the end of the input. Right, let's clean that up. So input.split on that. Dot where s goes to string is null or white space s. Actually, that we could do a slightly more where s dot contains if we only return the elements of that collection that contain that colon. Yeah, that should fix it. 235. Boom. Press any key. Let's see what that does when we feed it into the thing. That is the right answer. You are 1 gold star closer. Right. Let's have a little look at what's in part 2. Push that up to the GitHub first, in case the world needs it. I love the fact that like all the code that anyone did on this last year is now buried in a permanent vault underneath the Arctic. Did you see that whole thing that they did? That's... Ooh, yeah, cool thing. So thank you. This is Reshopper popping up and going, hey, I'm better at your job than you. So there's a... the method we've got here, we're saying passports.whereThis.count, but actually the count method in link will take a predicate and it'll just give us the count of things that match that set of criteria, match that predicate, right? Yeah, Arctic Code Vault. My Rockstar joke programming language is now interred in a vault underneath the Arctic in case of nuclear apocalypse or a planet-destroying asteroid, so that aliens in millions of years will dig it up and go, what? But I'm okay with that, actually. I think that's fun. So right, that's kind of cool. So yeah, passports.count. There's the predicate. That's nice. I just want to do something fun. No, I don't want to do something fun. We'll do something fun later. I'm going to do part 2. Right, let me grab that. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Give me a terminal window. I had one here somewhere. Boom, D, projects, GitHub, advent of code, day 4. Actually, just advent of code will do. Git add dot, git commit -m, solved, part 1 of day 4 in .NET. Yes, boom, push that so the world can see it. Right. Part 2. The line is moving more quickly now, but you overhear airport security talking about how passwords with invalid data are getting through. Better add some data validation quick. CID can still be ignored. Okay, we are... Cute. Real cute. All right. Four digits, at least 1920. Okay, so we're gonna build a fun little thing here. I love building this kind of stuff. So what we can do is we can shrink that and shrink that and shrink that and so we can. I did, Surly Dev. I put myself on Awesome Developer, or I opened the pull request yesterday. Why do you need regexes? You don't need regexes for any of this. You might need regexes for some of this. So let's there we go. Right. So I'm going to do something fun here. Private dictionary. And a dictionary is going to be a dictionary that maps a string onto a func that takes a string and returns a bool. Validators equals new dictionary of that. Because what we can do now is we can do stuff like, so validators, I should probably put this in the constructor. Actually, I could do the whole thing inline. Actually, I don't even need to do that. I can do this. Don't ever write code like this at your job. People who give you money deserve code that is slightly less weird than this. So this is going to be a BYR. And that needs a function that takes a string and returns 4 digits, at least 1920, at most 2002. So S is going to go to int32.par. But yeah, equals int. So int year. Yep, we'll do that. Return int32.try pars s out year and year at least 1920. Is that including 1920? I'm going to say yep. 1920 less than or equal to, and year is less than or equal to 2002. Yep, that's fine. Cannot assign a lambda expression to an anonymous type property. I thought that might happen, and the out variable declaration can be inlined. Let's see what we can do with all of that lot. This is where resharp is good because it knows lots of stuff that I don't. So, oh, that's nice. That's a new C# 8 or 9 thing, because that didn't used to be legal. So that goes to that, and now I can do that and put that down to there, and that's nice, and that's nice, and that's nice, and that's nice, and that is probably... Yep. There we go. So what we've basically got is a dictionary where we give it a string and it gives us back a function that will validate another string and give us back a true or false depending on what that string is. So I'm going to do a very, very quick naughty run on that. So fields, input, split, dictionary, validators, and so that gives us... So at this point we want to do a public bool validate string fields, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say return fields.all. So for every field we give it, we want to return fields.all field maps onto validators field on fields. That field is actually gonna be the key. Why is that complaining? Cannot implicitly convert type string to int fields. That is a dictionary of string. Yeah, that's fine. We've got that's fields and that's fields. So let's call that fields to validate. Make things a little bit more explicit. Return fields to validate dot all, and then that's that one, and that's that one, and that's fine. So what I'm expecting to see now is, yeah, I didn't know that either, Keith, until ReSharper popped up and went, hey, you can inline that. Part of the fun. So at the moment, the only validator we've got is birth year. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of get a sanity check that this thing's working properly, is in my main method, I'm going to read all the passports. So that gives us a whole list of passports. And then just for each var passport in passports, console.writeLine passport.fields byr plus string interpolation is the thing you can do in .NET now. It's string $, and that and that and that one, I think. This is one of those ones where it's almost but not quite the same as it is in JavaScript, and the difference between the two is just enough to markdown fail. I forgot a hyphen. Where did I forget a hyphen? Oh, in my pull request. I'll fix it later. This is unrelated to Advent of Code, you understand. This is a different thing that's happening. Passport fields byr, and that one we are gonna say equals passport dot validate on. We're going to give it a list of fields to validate, so we'll put in required fields, but I'm going to comment out a couple of those in a second. Yeah, that should give us back a bool. That whole lot should be fine. That should give us a right line. And why is that complaining? Comment at those two lines there. KC on that. And comment at those. So what I'm expecting from this one is a big list of 4-digit numbers, and then next to it a true or false, depending on whether the birth year is that number is valid according to the rules we set up. So we've got, what do we got? 2012 is false, yeah. 2013 is false, yeah, looking good. 1935, 2000, that's all looking pretty good. Okay, yep. All right, I'm happy that the approach is working and that it's wrapping the right things up and pointing the right data at the right places. And choking. Why did that choke? That failed with something. The given key was not present in the dictionary. Because some passports don't include the field, which is going to make things interesting. But that's blown up here. That's blown up on my output. So let's validators equals that. That one's that. That one's that. That one's that. Fields to validate dot all. So we need to include all of those validated fields. So if we pass in a field validation and that field's not present on the passport, we need to bail out. We need to return false, right? So fields.contains key and validator's key on fields key must be true. That's fine. I can remove some of these parentheses. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Where are we? Okay. Yep, that's all fine. So the only problem I had here is that passport dot fields, yeah, but so contains key BYR. How are we doing? 1642. All right, we'll get this wrapped up inside an hour, I think. Then passport.fields BYR. Otherwise, let's just do that. Boom, that should. Yep, 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 yep. A conditional expression cannot be used directly in a string interpolation because the colon ends the... Oh my word. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so we got all the lines, and that's nice. And somewhere in here we should have probably a couple of outputs somewhere that... Okay. I'm sure there was one in there somewhere. There we go. Boom. XXXX. So that's not valid. So the field's missing. Okay. So the validation logic is correct. This line of output was doing something a little bit misleading there. Okay, so the approach is sound. What I want to do now is to... So this is going to get very messy very quickly, but what we can do is we can say private bool... Why is that complaining? Cannot convert lambda to type bool because it cannot be. There is a piece of syntax that I'm trying to recall here, which is for doing inline properties. And I'm going to have a very quick look on the Googles. Inline methods in C#. I think C# 8 was where they introduced. Anonymous functions, anonymous methods, inline functions. Nope, 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 nope. We're on Stack Overflow. That's never going to work. We're on a different Stack Overflow. That's also never going to work. C# lambda methods. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Right, I can't remember. There is a syntax for writing neat little one-liners. But I cannot remember off the top of my head what it is. So we're just going to keep plugging away at this. So let's say private bool validate BIR string. So what was BIR? That's birth year. Oh, that's it. I just need the full function syntax. All right, so private bool validate issue year string s goes to, we can grab exactly the same syntax, and 2010, 2020, and we can potentially private bool between string s goes to show you something cool you might have seen in .NET if you've not done a lot of .NET stuff. So I can come down here, I can say public static class string extensions, and I can put a public static bool is 4-digit number between x and y. This string s int x int y, and I can return a chunk of logic in here that will say, so that should, no, wait, come back, copy, do not just throw it away, copy it. I need that on my clipboard. And I got to be on Zoom for beers in 13 minutes, but that's all right. We are going to get this done. int32.tryParse, that's going to be fine. Return int32.tryParse s out int year, and this dot year is less than x, and this dot year is less than y. And let's change year to be I for integer, because integer, and that's just saying you can use the type keyword, which I don't like. Expression body, that, oh, look at that. That's one line, and it just about fits on my screen. I mean, some of it's sticking up over there on the other side of my head. So what we can do now is we can say validate birth year, BYRS is now S goes to S dot is a 4-digit number between 1920 and 2020. Look at that. And now that becomes superfluous because we've abstracted out the logic which made it look so unwieldy. Issue year is going to be S needs to be a... Now, come on, S. S is fine. S dot is 4-digit number. That's comma, not a... between 2010 2020, that needs to be 2002. Always check your inputs. Why is that? It's complaining because I haven't closed that, which means the compiler can't see the whole rest of the thing that we got going on here. Reformat that. That's nice. So, issue year. Expiration year has to be 2020 to 2030. So the expiration year code is year. And that needs to be S dot is 4-digit number between 2020 2030. Height needs to be a... So this isn't actually validating whether it's a 4-digit number. It's just validating that it's a number. So I can do a quick refactor on that. And just call it is number between that and that. Yep, that's fine. Cool. Okay. Height is... we're going to need to be doing some... regular expressions time. Yeah, there is a certain amount of... no, this isn't fluent. So fluency would be... a fluent interface would be something like s dot is number between this dot and followed by dot string centimeters and dot something on something. Yeah, so that's that. So doing, and then height needs to go to s dot, well, let's just go to validate height. So then in here, private bool validate height string s. Now we have the fun part. So if s dot ends with cm, return s dot, I want to remove the last two characters of s, so that's 0, s dot length -2 dot is a number. So if it ends with .cm, we want to check that the first bit of it is a number between centimeters 150 and 193. If s dot ends with inches, we want to return s dot substring 0 and s dot length -2 dot. That 2 may be incorrect, by the way. I need to check the logic on that in a second. Between 59 and 76. Could there be invalid data? So Chris, if there's 154xcm, it's going to find the cm, chop it off, but then it's going to pass 154x to the number, the numeric parser, and so that's going to blow up. Yeah. It's only going to work if the rest of the number is going to be a, so s dot substring, not s dot length 2. What's the easiest way? You know what I really miss in .NET is having the equivalent of like the browser console in JavaScript. There must be somewhere. I wonder. .NET C# online interpreter. .NET Fiddle. Look at that. .NET Fiddle. Isn't that amazing? So I want to see console.writeLine 123. So var s equals 123 cm. Console.writeLine s.substring s0 s.length -2. I just need to make sure, is this the length of the string we're returning or the index that substring runs up to? It is -2. That returns 123. Okay, so that's correct. So that's fine. That's fine. That's going to validate height. That should be correct. That is complaining. Validators is that needs to be static. That should now kick in there. Thank you very much. So that is the height. HCL, ECL, and PID. HCL. So HCL is going to validate hair color. ECL is to validate exactly one of those. And PID needs to be a 9-digit number. So private static bool validate hair color string s. Return regex.is match, and the expression needs to be, what was it, a hash, and then exactly 6 digits. So is match hash, and then 0 to 9, A to Z, and we need exactly 6 of those. And the entire expression needs to match, so anchor to the beginning and the end. What does it need? Input then pattern. Yeah. So regex.is match s and that. Yep, fine. Thank you very much. That'll validate those. private static bool validate eye color just needs to be one of those. Could I do a string extension like you did as number between? What I can actually do is return this new string. I can do that even dirtier. So this is going to run every time, so it's not terribly efficient, but I got 5 minutes left to get this thing finished. So return that dot split on a space dot contains s. So that will only return true if one of those values in the where we get out of splitting that contains the thing we are looking for. And finally, no, go away. And if we are looking for validate eye color, and the passport ID must be a 9-digit number, so private static bool validate passport number string. Yeah, we could. There is some, yeah, there could be some nicer consistency between what we actually, yeah. We'll do this first, then we'll do that. If we have time, we'll do that right at the end. Validate passport number string s. There's all that lot. That's fine. What I'm about to do is to probably add a Zoom call to this share that we got going on, so the folks who are waiting for me to open Zoom for Friday afternoon beers can see what I'm doing, and I got time to finish this. Validate passport number return regex dot is match. And so this is gonna be, it's the input, and then the pattern is start at the beginning. It needs to be 0 or 9, and we need exactly 9 of those anchored to the end of the input string. That's complaining. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna do pretty much that, I think. Cross the streams. So that's all fine. HCL is that, and what were the other field IDs we had to validate? ECL and PID. ECL validate eye color, and PID validate passport number. Okay, so be with you in 1 second, gang. I'm just spinning up a Zoom. Nope, not that. There's that. There's that. If anyone does want to jump on a Zoom and join us for a beer, you are very welcome. It is Friday. It is 5 o'clock. It is dylanbeattie.net/drinks time. Kick that off. There we go. That's fine. Right. So, where did we get to? That's our list of fields. That's all fine. That's all fine. Drop that in there. That's nice. So, and this should... Now that's a lot of code to throw together. Hey guy, Yeah, pretty good. I'm still on Twitch right now, so I'm just going to finish up a bit of refactoring here. But what I'll do is I'll share my Twitch screen on Zoom so that you on Zoom call can see what it is that I'm barking about, and we should have this wrapped up in a couple of minutes. So there's that, let's share that one. The streams are now crossed! Zoom is on Twitch! You just use 9 for length rather than 9. Can I? Yes, I can. Thanks, Chris. Which means that 6 can come out as well. So, there's that, and there's that, and there's that, and that's all fine. Bang, run it. What the hell? Whack the big red button. It says I have 194 valid passports. Let's see what the advent of code says is the valid answer for part 2. Boom, submit. Yeah. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? 1700, bang on the nose. Completed day 4. Not bad. That was fun. Let me just I'm gonna stick the that's 194. You don't want that. What I'm gonna do, I'll drop the Zoom link into the chat on here. So you go. If any of you want to swing by and have a beer, I am gonna push this up. I'm gonna commit this lot. I'm going to turn it into, push it up to GitHub, get that nicely checked away. And then I'm going to open a beer and celebrate, because that was quite, quite intense, but it was quite good. All right, that's fun. Cool. So one of you's on speakers, because I can hear myself a disconcerting number of seconds after I say something. Solved day 4, part 2, using .NET, git, push. I may have just invited all the internet weirdos to the Zoom call, of course, you know. How you doing? I'm just going to mute people in turn to see if I can work out where the loop is coming from. I think it might be... Yeah. I can hear you, but you can hear me on Twitch, not on Zoom. Right, I am gonna thank you very much, Twitchers and YouTubers. That was a lot of fun. I will see you. So I'm gonna probably try and do regular streams. I'm gonna change the time a bit next week. So keep an eye on Twitch, see when we're gonna be streaming. And yeah, you want to grab a beer? Come and join us for Friday afternoon beers. We're gonna raid Code Rush now. Code Rush is doing Unity. And then we are gonna twitch.tv/ All right, you ready? Twitch is raiding Code Rush now. Let's go. Boom.